My Life and Struggle. Autobiography of Badshah Khan. Speeches of Badshah Khan in Kabul. On January 30th, 1934, Badshah Khan was released from prison. He was badly in need of medical treatment. In September 1934, he left for London. In December of the same year, still under treatment, he went to Kabul, the capital of Afghanistan. The long years spent in prison had left their mark on his health, and though he was free at last, he was still suffering. When he arrived in Kabul, he was given a tremendous welcome. Arrangements for medical treatment and care were made immediately. When he had regained his health, Badshah Khan founded an organization, a kind of crusader movement for the freedom of the Pashtuns. A little later, he made a tour of Afghanistan and the tribal areas, and today the people of Afghanistan and the Pashtuns are peacefully struggling towards the realization of Pashtunistan. Badshah Khan, now settled in Afghanistan, lives very quietly and is absorbed in his work. When I went to see him in Kabul, I was extremely happy to find that even today Badshah Khan was able to work towards his goal with the same concentration and quiet devotion with which he fought the British government. He was a great leader in the past and he still is a great leader. He was a great believer in non-violence in the past and this is still his fundamental belief. Since he came to Kabul, Badshah Khan has delivered three political speeches in which he answers the question, why Pakhtunistan? And lifts the veil of all the deceptions of the Islamic government of Pakistan. Nagina. First speech. Sister and brothers, today I first of all want to give thanks to God for His great mercy on the Pathan country and people. Many have tried to put an end to our country and our nation, but today the Almighty has fulfilled the hearts of the Pakhtuns with love and affection and with the realization of brotherhood. I also want to thank His Majesty the King of Afghanistan, the Prime Minister and his government for bringing the Pakhtuns from the mountains and the valleys together. Ahmad Shah Abdali has fixed the boundaries of our native land as far as River Jhelum. But an Englishman, Mr. Olaf Caro, came here at the invitation of Pakistan and he wrote a book, Pathan. He fixes the frontier of our country at Margali. If Margali boundary is recognized, the Pathan country stretches as far as River Amu, and the people who live in that territory are all Pakhtuns. Take a look at the world and at the nations of the world. Take America, for example. The people who live in America are not all of the same race. Originally, they did not all belong to the same nation. Some have come from Germany, some born in France, some hail from Spain. Some are Negroes and some are Englishmen. But now their country is America and they all call themselves Americans. I want to tell you, Pathans, that the whole territory from Margoli to River Amu is the country of the Pakhtuns, and anyone who lives in this country is a Pakhtun. I want to tell you another thing. I want you to listen carefully. Those among you who are trying to tell you that Hazaris, Pakhtuns, or Tajiks are different people are not your friends but your enemies. They are selfish. They are not concerned about your interests, only about their own. It is a long time since I was last in your country, and you may think and even say that I have forgotten you, but nothing is further from the truth. You have always remembered me, and I can never forget you because you are my people, my brother, my own kith and kin. But it was like this. First, the British ruled our country, and they cut our country into pieces. Not only did they divide the land into small sections, but they put up walls and barriers between us, and they would not allow me to go near you. Then Pakistan came into being, and it had a Muslim government, an Islamic government. They followed in the footsteps of the British. I want you to think carefully for a moment and look at the Pakistan government. Who are those people who are in power in Pakistan today? And who decide what is black and what is white? They were all in the service of the British before. Do study them, and you will see for yourselves that there is no one among them who has ever served his own country and his own people. They were all the kind of people who begged for a few crumbs from the British table. When the British left, There were 100 million Muslims in India, but among them there was only one, a Pakhtun, who had struggled against the British and spent his life trying to get them out of the country. The British were against us and their hearts were full of anger. When they left, they wanted to stir up trouble in the country, and so they created confusion using the same people whom we have liberated from their slavery. I am always telling you, the Pathans, that only by hard work and toil can you make profit for yourself. But even then, if you do make a profit somehow, somewhere, you do not know how to keep it or how to utilize it. And this is what happened when the British left. We had made a great profit. We had gotten rid of the foreign rulers. We had freed our country, but nobody knew what to do with this freedom, how to utilize it, or how to protect it. Before they left, the British created a lot of discord among the Pakhtuns, and when they finally departed, they put their friends in their places. It is 9 months now since I came to your country. During that time, I have been trying hard to understand the Pakhtunistan movement that had been founded in your country. But I am ashamed to say that I have not been able to come to any conclusion. I find that long after we did, several other peoples and nations have rebelled against oppressions. The African Negroes have risen in rebellion, and the Algerians rebelled against the French. They all started their rebellion and resistance long after we did, yet they achieved their aims long before we did. We have been struggling for 18 years, and until today, we have not won. Why not? It is essential that all Pathans, whether in this country or elsewhere, give this question a serious thought, for we are all brothers. How was it possible for a small country like Algeria, that rose in rebellion long after we did, to be successful in such a short time? Think of the country they were fighting against, France. France is not just an ordinary country. Thousands of French people were living in Algeria. The whole country's agricultural produce, all commodities were in the hands of the French, but the Algerians rebelled and the French had to go. We are struggling against Pakistan. Why have we not achieved our objective yet? This is a serious question which deserves serious consideration. My brothers, look at other countries and other nations in the world, other races and other communities. You will find that when they rebel, they have one common objective, one common ideal. They believe in that ideal, and they keep that ideal in view always. And another thing is that they are prepared to make sacrifices for the sake of that ideal. They are prepared to suffer and to bear any kind of hardship. I have watched and studied other nations, and I know this is true of the Algerian people, and that is why they were successful. And I am telling you this, there is no need to go into long arguments. If you can develop this quality in yourselves, you will also achieve your objective. Brothers, please open your eyes and look at the world around you and at the nations of the world. They are all soaring to the sky all over the world. Yet, we cannot even walk upon the earth. Why not? Are the Pakhtuns not a nation? Do they not have a country of their own? You are a well bred, cultured race, a gentle and courteous people. God has given you a more beautiful and blessed country than He has given to any other nations. Then why is it that we are so backward compared to other nations? We are a good people and a noble race. We have a country of our own. Then why have we been left behind? Could it be that other nations are aware of their nationality and have a sense of patriotism and we have not? Think this over. Those people in other more progressive countries, those people who are now reaching out to the skies are not different from us. They are men and women like you and I. They are nations like we are. Why is it that they have these sentiments of nationalism and patriotism and we don't? It is because in those countries, among those nations, there are men and women who are ready to sacrifice everything, to give up their wealth, their life, their comfort, their cars, and their beautiful homes for the sake of their people. Do we realize that what a nation is? Do we know the meaning of the words my race, my people? We say my people are where I get my stomach filled. My nation is the one that is useful to me. And that is why among us we do not find that radiant blaze of love and sacrifice that we find in other more progressive countries. Look at the farmers. We Pathans are all farmers and agriculturalists. Right here in front of us, there is a large college where instruction is given every day. We are farmers. We plow the land, we dig furrows, and we prepare the soil. Why? So that the seed may be sown. If the soil is not prepared, if the land is not plowed, you may sow the seed, but it will never bear fruit. If you want to reap the fruit, if you want an abundant harvest, you must sow the seed in the well prepared soil. You must also see that the seed you are going to sow is a good seed. Every grain must be alive and whole. But unless the seed is put into the earth and dies, it cannot sprout and it will never bear fruit. This is true of nations too. Unless there are people who are prepared to sacrifice themselves for the sake of their country and their people, that country will never become green and lively, and it will never flourish. It is because we could not produce such people that our nation has remained backward. Other people, not of our race, also live in these countries. Or, oh, Pathans, have you ever mixed with the Russians? Have you ever made friends with the Englishmen? Have you ever spoken to an American or invited a German to your house? The trouble is with you is that you are too easily influenced and that you listen to the wrong people. Some 1400 years ago, our holy prophet spoke these words. O Muslims, O all ye believers, if you love money more than you love your country, your people, your brothers, or your children, you will be disgraced in this world and brought to shame in the next. These are the words in the Holy Quran. They are not my words. I cannot understand you, Pathans. Don't you see? If these people are giving you money, it is the money they have stolen from your fathers. It is your own money. And remember, they have themselves eaten all the meat and now they are throwing the bones at your feet. And you quarrel over these miserable bones. I want to say this over and over again. O Pathans, you have proved that you can stand with the head erect in the face of any danger. You can bare your breast and face gunfire. You do not fear imprisonment. You are not afraid of bombs. You can hold your own against anybody, but you cannot resist money. People and nations that could not resist money became greedy after gold and have always fallen into decline, and neither the people as individuals nor the country as the whole could ever make progress. That is why I am telling you, and please put this into your heads, my dear native brothers, that if anyone offers you any money, he is only offering you your own money back. And if you make this country your own and yours alone, the money will again be yours, and your children's and your grandchildren will be free from want. I want all the Pakhtuns everywhere to give this question their full attention. Finally, I want to say this. There are people in our country who make special point of telling everybody that Pakistan is a Muslim country and that Ayub Khan is a Pakhtun. And they also say that the Pathans now have their own kingdom. Another thing they say is that the Pakistan government is Islamic and that it has been newly established. Why do we run after these people? Why do we bother them? However, I do not want to waste time discussing them because I know very well what kind of people they are. The people who are saying all these things are the people who have been given either permits or money. But oh, my dear people, I also say that Pakistan is a Muslim country. I have never denied that. The Pakistanis are Muslims and they are our brothers. But the question is this: who has given our country its freedom? Who drove out the British and who created Pakistan? Occasionally, the Muslim leaguers say that they have created Pakistan. I ask them whether they ever fought the British. They were the friends of the British, remember? It was we who drove the British out. Would Pakistan have come into being if the British had not left? Pakistan was created with our blood. We made Pakistan. But the funny thing is that they came to tea and stayed for dinner, or rather took over the house completely, as it were. We do not want anything from our Pakistani Muslim brothers, only our rights. And Pakistan is not giving us our rights. I ask you, is this an Islamic tradition? If your brother says, give me my rights, does Islam tell you to refuse? I admit that Ayub Khan is a Pakhtun. I can also tell you that he treats me with kindness and respects and even calls me uncle. But it is a pity that he has fallen into the hands of the people who want to suppress the rights of the Pakhtuns and who are bent on crushing and destroying the Pathans. I am always telling people, please go and tell Ayub Khan that he cannot make the aliens his own people, but he can very well make his own people alien. That he has in fact already done so. The Pathans are now have their own kingdom, it is said. Have you noticed who are giving their lives in the Ran of Kuch at the moment? Pakhtuns. Have you ever noticed who are dying in Kashmir? Pakhtuns. And another thing, they have taken Pathans to Bajor to fight other Pathans. In Waziristan, in Balochistan, in fact, all along the Indo-Pakistani border, where there are so-called trouble spots, Pakhtuns have been posted. But when it comes to the point of giving the Pathans their rights, nobody does anything about it. Go and see for yourself. Go and take a look at our armies. All our great and loyal generals have been dismissed. Look at the civil services. In the civil service of our province, the commissioners are all Pathans. Why were they all sent away out of the province from the very beginning? Today, all the political agents, the commissioners, the deputy commissioners are Punjabis. There are no Pakhtun civil servants in Pakhtun country. The Pakistan government today has no confidence in the Pathans. Is it not an insult to the Pathans that they are working for the government that has no confidence in them? I would like you to go visit our schools, our high schools, our universities, and see what is happening there. What is happening to the children? What is the financial position? When I look at all this, I am astounded and I cannot understand how people can say the Pakhtuns have their own kingdom now. What kind of a Pathan kingdom is this where the government does not trust the Pathans and the Pathans are not being given their rights? Ayub Khan is a Pathan, it is said, and Pakistan is a Muslim country, an Islamic country. Oh Pathans, when will you wake up? Unless you yourself change all these things, unless you yourself put right all these wrongs, you are doomed. It is up to you to listen to me or not. I am only your servant. I do not ask for gifts or oblations. You are my own people. We belong to the same family. If I serve you, I do in the name of God. It is to your advantage to listen to me and follow my advice, not mine. If you do not want to follow my advice, it will be your loss. I have told you before and I am telling you again. I do not wish to be your leader now or ever. I do not wish to be your master or your guide. I want to be your servant and to be of service to you. And I am not only your servant, but the servant of all humanity and all creatures of God. I want you all to give a serious thought and consideration to what I have said to you today. Try to understand what kind of Islam this is and try to recognize Ayub Khan for what he is. Think about this so-called Pathan kingdom. I have already stated that Pakistan was created with our blood. We have driven out the British. Do you think that we will now be disloyal to the country, that we will deceive her? Why do you think we have endured all these difficulties and hardships? Only for the sake of Pakhtuns and the Pakhtun country. It is not we, it is other people who want to destroy Pakistan. After all, you are intelligent enough to understand that if there is one black sheep in the family who does not want to give his brothers the rights, the whole family relationship is spoiled. The truth is that those who want to destroy Pakistan are members of their own family, but they put the blame on us. There is one more thing I want to tell you. The Pakhtiyas, a tribe of Afghanistan, are the real Pakhtuns and are very nice people. When I visited their district, I was told the same thing at every meeting. We are ready. I told them and I repeat it now for your benefit. I will never plunge you into war and I will never tell you to fight. I have only come to tell you this. O Pathans, your house has fallen into ruin. Arise and rebuild it. And remember to what race you belong. Read the history of your fathers and grandfathers and study their deeds. They have always kept their flag flying at home and abroad. Who was Sher Shah? He was a Pathan. He was born in this country. He took the Pathan flag to Bengal. Who was Mirwaz Khan? He was your own brother and friend, a Pakhtun. He planted his flag in Isfahan. Who was Ahmad Shah? He too was a Pakhtun. What is it to you that your fathers and grandfathers won so many victories? Does it profit you? This is all past history, brothers. Your task now is to put your own house in order, to rebuild your own country. Will you allow Punjab to swallow up your country? But because there is discord and hypocrisy in your ranks, because there is enmity and rivalry, because you cling to bad habits and worn out traditions, you pay no attention to your country. You are far too busy fighting amongst yourselves. If you build up and reconstruct your country, I assure you nobody will ever be able to take it away from you. I will now conclude this lecture and ask one of my Pakhtya friends who is with us here today to say a few words. The Pakhtya Pakhtun stood up and said, O Pakhtuns, this country is the mother of your nation. Your country is your mother. A stranger came and stepped on the hem of your mother's garment. Are you going to tell him to take his foot away, or are you going to leave your mother to him? Second speech. Sister and brothers, before I begin my speech, I want to thank His Majesty, the King of Afghanistan, the Prime Minister, and the government of Afghanistan for so kindly bringing us, the unfortunate Pakhtuns, together today and for giving me the opportunity to say a few words to my sister and brothers. Sister and brothers, this world can be compared to the wheel over a well and the two buckets that hang from the rope that goes down over the wheel. When the wheel is turned, one of the bucket goes down into the well and is filled with water, while the other that comes up remains empty. If you look at the nations of the world, you may observe the same thing. If you study the history of your fathers and grandfathers, you will find that your ancestors made more progress and were more prosperous than other nations. When we were a shining light of civilization and culture, the countries of Europe were still as backward as we are today. They were steeped in poverty and involved in wars and feuds. If you can imagine the age your ancestors lived in, when other nations were still living in darkness while we were an enlightened people, you will get an idea of the condition we are in today. If there is any backward, uneducated nation in the world today, it is ours. If you think it over, you will see how and why we have become like that. First, Alexander came and wrought havoc in our country. At that time, we had schools and universities. Alexander destroyed most of them. Then came the Genghis Khan and he destroyed whatever had been overlooked by Alexander. Then came the Arabs. After the Arabs came the Mughals and finally the British. The British were very clever and cunning, intelligent and crafty. All the desolation and all the destruction you see in the Pakhtun country and in the Pakhtun homes today was caused by the British. As soon as they set foot in our country, they cut it up into small pieces, thereby cutting up the nation. But finally, the British rolled up their mats and went home. And now the way to prosperity and progress and happiness is once more open to us. That is why I'm saying that our bucket is going down into the well again to be filled. The world of today is full of patriotism. The buckets of nations are being filled with brotherhood and love. I can see the awakening of patriotism, the spirit of nationalism in this poor, oppressed, and misguided Pakhtun nation. And that is why I am confident that if not today, then tomorrow, our bucket will again be overflowing with prosperity and happiness. If you weigh up the nations of the world against each other, you will find that we do not lack in strength. When I was in Jalalabad, a university student came to see me and said, a German visitor told me that he had seen young people in Europe, in America, and in Afghanistan, and that he found that God had bestowed more intelligence and wisdom on us than any other nation in the world. And he wondered how it was possible that we still were lagging behind. The student said that he had not been able to give the German visitor a satisfactory reply, and he had come to me hoping that I would be able to answer that question. I told this young man that this is the age of nationalism, a nation that practices patriotism, love for its country, brotherhood, and fellowship will prosper and make progress and be a happy nation. Among us, these qualities are still lacking, and that is why we are backward. The student said, suppose the German asks me why we do not have these sentiments of fellowship and brotherhood. What shall I say? I told him the answer is that in other countries there are peoples who have sacrificed their own comfort and happiness, their lives and property for the sake of their country and their people. There are no such people in our country, and if by chance there are a few people like that somewhere, we call them infidels and Wahhabis. That is, followers of Sheikh Wahhab, a modern reformer of Islam. Or we call them Hindus. Well, take a look at me and see if I have become a Hindu. Who has the right to sit in judgment and pronounce me a Hindu? It was the British who called me a Hindu, and since then nobody has been able to make me a Muslim again. Hunger and poverty has given our people, young and old, men and women, an inferiority complex. But now there is a new hope and confidence that we will be able to reach our destination. But we must start walking and walking fast. If we do, we and our children shall prosper. We have been insulted and disgraced by religion, but I will tell you this, and I want you to listen carefully. First of all, why do religions come into the world? To teach man to be a human. Whenever a man has forgotten to be a human, the messenger has come and brought religion into the world again. The messenger has always come to remind mankind of the lesson they have forgotten, the lesson of love for one's country and one's fellow man, the lesson of service to humanity. The nation that practices love and brotherhood and self-sacrifice will rise to the skies. A nation that does not know these sentiments is doomed. Religion teaches man truth, justice, virtue, and it awakens in the man the desire to serve. What people call religion in the world today is not the religion of God and his messengers. The Holy Prophet Muhammad came into this world and he taught us an excellent way of life. He said, is a Muslim who never hurts anyone by word or deed, but who works for the benefit and happiness of God's creatures. He also said, belief in God is to love one's fellow man. I will tell you this, my brothers, and you may find it strange. If, as they say, I have become a Hindu, it is because of this love, and because my heart is filled with love for my country and my people, and for God and humanity. I will tell you something else. One day in Jalalabad, I met a woman who began to talk to me about our country and our nation. She said to me, I am prepared to sacrifice myself for the sake of God and my people. And if I had to give my life, I would be proud to die a martyr for my country. When she had left, some holier than thou know-alls told me that she was a kafir. But the Holy Prophet clearly tells us that faith is to love one's country and one's people. I'm asking you, in whose heart was this love to be found, and in the woman's heart or in the hearts of those who know-alls? I'm telling you this because there are people like that among us even today, enemies of our country and our people, who will not leave the Pathans alone and who want to deceive us in the name of religion. Lord Jesus told his followers, if anyone smite you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. And look what his followers are doing. In India, they are destroying people by the thousands who started all this destructive hatred and all this strife and struggle. Look at Palestine. What are the Christians doing there? And look at Vietnam. What do the Americans want there? Why do they send their armies there? The Americans are Christians, but do they act like Christians? That is why I said that what people call religion in the world today is not the religion of God and his messengers. This is not the religion of love, truth, and service to humanity that God's messengers brought to the world. In Pakistan today, the cry is Islam, Islam, peace, peace. Look at their deeds. Can I go to Pakistani public and say, tell me, my Pakistani brothers, for what terrible crimes the Pakhtuns in Bajor were bombed? Tell me why the women and children and the old people had to die. Is this Islam? Tell me why our Balochi brothers are being bombed. What is their offense? Are they not Muslims? Are we not Muslims? Does Islam tell you not to give people their rights? If a father has 5 sons and 4 of them stand up against the eldest and demand his rightful inheritance, would you call this Islam? There is a Pakistani agent here. He speaks very sweetly and says, but surely Badshah Khan, Pakistan is also a Muslim country, isn't it? I tell him, who says Pakistan is not a Muslim country? Ayub Khan is our brother, isn't he? He is a Pakhtun. But does Islam teach us not to demand our rights? That is all we are doing. Islam teaches us brotherhood. Just learn to accept us as your brothers and don't make us your slaves, for we cannot endure that. Finally, I would like to say a few words about Pakhtunistan. After 18 years, we still have not achieved our goal. Why not? Because we do not look upon Pakhtunistan as our own country. By the grace of God, the Pakhtun bucket is filling. The Pakhtuns have become aware of themselves. They have become patriotic. We are at last aware that this is our own country and we are determined to rebuild it. We have in our Pakistan a West Pakistani government called Amir Muhammad Khan. Somebody told him to give the Pakhtuns their rights. The governor laughed and said, is there any Pakhtun who cannot be bribed? What rights has a country whose leaders can be bought for money? I would like to advise the governor Sahab to listen to what the world is saying. What the governor said about our tribal brothers putting all their trust in money may have been true in the past, but it no longer is true now. I would advise the governor to go and see the poor, helpless, bombed people in Bajor. They did not take money for fighting for their country. I hope like the proverbial melon which gets its color by looking at the other melon. Our brothers in Bajor will influence other Pakhtuns. You know that I believe in the principles of non-violence. I am convinced that there will be no peace in the world till the problem of the Pakhtuns has been solved. I am telling both the Russians and the Americans the same thing. If they really want peace, they should solve the problem of Pakhtuns. What do we want? We keep on telling Pakistan to consider us their brothers and not make us their slaves. We were never the slaves of the British, and you should not expect us to be your slaves. During the Indo-Pakistani war, the newspapers began to write about me. A man from Pakistan government came to see me and said, we heard that you are going to India. I said, can't you see I'm still here? You are my brother and I am casting hopeful glances at you. But if you will not treat us as your brothers, there is not much point of awaiting your pleasure, is there? I'm not going to India, I said. You people are forcing me to go there. If you gave us our rights, I would not have to go to India. I want to tell you this because today Islam is being used to deceive people. That is why I am asking you, my Pakhtun brothers, to see that justice is done. We are drowning and I am asking my Muslim brothers, for God's sake, stretch out your hand and save us. But they don't. Then I see a Hindu standing near the river's edge and he is saying, "Here, I'm stretching out my hand. Take hold of it. I will save you from drowning." What would you say? "I'll take your hand," or "No, I would rather drown." People in the hall started shouting, "Take his hand, take his hand." My people are drowning before my eyes, and to save them, I shall grasp any helping hand, be it the hand of a Hindu or an infidel. I want to tell the Muslims in Pakistan that my only desire is to solve this question in a spirit of brotherhood. Let us sit down together, brothers, and settle the issue. I want to tell the Pakhtuns this. If you put your house in order and if you develop in yourselves these qualities of love, brotherhood, and friendship and patriotism, we shall be able to achieve our sacred purpose without having to go to war. In our jirga, a man got up and said in loud voice, "All right, Badshah Khan, and if Pakistan still not give us our rights," I said, "then you must do what you think is right." Third speech. Brothers and dear friends, I want you to recollect the history of the Pathans. Every time misfortune befell on us, a great man was born in Afghanistan, a man who brought together again the scattered tribes of the Pathans, a man who gave them counsel and advice and organized them, a man who spread blessings and goodwill wherever he went, a man whom nothing on earth could stop. You all know that at first we were the slaves of Iran. At that time, Mirwaz Khan was born. He brought us together again and took all their troubles off their shoulders. Ahmad Shah Baba, too, was born in Afghanistan. He also organized the Pakhtuns. Then he left Afghanistan and went to Delhi and kept his flag flying there. On his way back from Delhi, he stopped at Jhelum and he told his Pakhtun companions, "Look from here to the Amu River and as far as Herat is your country." My brothers, listen carefully and think. When the British came here, they drew a demarcation line, and when they departed, they left this country to their heirs. You cannot take possession of the country of your fathers and grandfathers. Jhelum is no longer yours. Thorkham has fallen from your hands. Why has this happened? I am here today to explain this to you. Are we not the children of Mirwas and Ahmad Shah? How is it that wherever they went, they were able to plant their flag, and now strangers come to your country and hoisted their own flags there? Why did this happen? I'm here today to make you think about this. Brothers, the reason is very simple. The reason is that we Pakhtuns no longer know love and brotherhood, and that we no longer value counsel and advice. We have become selfish. That is why strangers are able to hoist their flags in our country. I came to this country 3 years ago. I have been to every corner of Afghanistan and I have visited all the tribes. I was very happy to see that these people have become aware of themselves as a nation, and that the sentiments of brotherhood and fellowship have awakened in their hearts. And I hope that these feelings and that awareness will bring about a change in their lives one day. Brothers, I have been addressing you as Pakhtuns all the time, but let nobody think that I consider only Pakhtuns as Pakhtuns. It is my belief and conviction that all the people who live in the country that stretches from river Jhelum to river Amu and as far as Herat are Afghans. They are all Pakhtuns and this country belongs to them all. I would like you to take a look at the world around you. When I was in Europe, any Englishman whom I asked, "Who are you?" would reply, "I am an Englishman." A German would say, "I'm a German." And I received the same reply from the Russians and the Americans. "I'm a Russian. I'm an American." We have not yet been able to reach the same standard of prosperity that other countries in the world enjoy today. Why not? When I came to Afghanistan, I asked one man, "Who are you?" He replied, "I'm a Hazari." Another man, when asked the same same question said, I'm a Turkman. Someone else said, I'm a Pashtun. And this is why we are ruined. This kind of talk causes discord and weakens the nation. And those who indulged in this kind of talk are not your friends. Believe me. Take America. America is about 180 million inhabitants, and among them you will find English, French, and Spanish people, African Negroes, and people from many other nationalities. But every one of them, if you ask him, will tell you that he is an American. No one will say that he is an Englishman or a German or a Frenchman. They all call themselves American. Remember, therefore, that whatever country were born in, you are now Afghans, and you should always call yourself Afghans. I will tell you another thing. All the nations of the world are taking enormous steps forward, but we are lagging behind. All the nations of the world have now conquered skies, but we have not yet conquered our own soil. After all, why not? Are we not a nation? We are a strong and wonderful nation. God has given us the most beautiful country and He has bestowed great blessings upon us. Then why are we lagging behind? I will tell you. Our holy prophet said, O Muslims, if you have too much love of this world, not only will you lose this world, but you will also be disgraced and put to shame in the next. These are not my words. The holy prophet taught us this about 1400 years ago. But we did not heed his words. And now, if you look around, you will hardly find a more wretched and miserable nation than ours. This beautiful country does not even produce enough maize to fill our own stomachs. Do you remember your Islamic history? Do you remember what happened in the days after Hazrat Umar had departed? And do you realize that the Muslims have forgotten all the teachings of the Holy Prophet? What is it in the people's life that is so important that it makes them forget the teachings of the Holy Prophet? I will tell you what it is. It is the greed of money, the lust of power. No nation that is greedy after money and hungers after power will ever prosper in this world. And if we are poor and miserable today, it is because of these two things. Look at the history of Muslims. What is the result of their thirst after wealth? The Muslims became class conscious, party conscious, and the outcome was that a feud raised its ugly heads among us them. The Muslims who had been taught by the Holy Prophet to love and cherish each other now did the opposite and fought and quarreled amongst themselves. Thousands of Muslims have lost their lives in family feuds and fights. They alienated themselves from the Holy Prophet's teachings of love and brotherhood. And I can see today that Muslims are not even trying to find the true spirit of their religion again. There was a time when the world was shrouded in darkness. Then in Medina, the first glimmer of light of democracy was seen. I know this democracy was confined to the town of Medina then. There was darkness everywhere in the world, but but in Medina was this light. If only the Muslims had cherished and protected this light, it would have illuminated their lives through ages. But the Muslims did not protect the light. They neglected the enlightened teachings of the Prophet. And so the light went out. And until today, the Muslims have not yet kindled it again. They have not tried to reach again that standard of democratic living that was taught to them by the Prophet of God. Look at Pakistan and look at the Balochis, the Sindhis, the Bengalis, and the Punjabis. Then look at us, the Pakhtuns. Where is the democracy the British gave us? Ayub Khan robbed us of it. And what did he give us in return? He gave us his own version of democracy, which does not deserve the name democracy. Can you imagine that these people have not yet realized this? That they cannot recognize what is Islam and what is not. That they do not even know the meaning of democracy. I'm telling you, all this is the result of our witlessness and our lust for power. Please think this over. I could give you many examples from all over the world, but I will give you just one. One general was born in Burma. His name is General Ne Win. He is a kafir. Another general emerged in Pakistan. His name is Ayub Khan. He says, I too have started a revolution. Try to compare these two generals and their revolutions they brought about. Revolution means complete change, does it not? It should mean improvement going forward. Going backward is no revolution. Just compare the Ayub Khan revolution to the revolution of the Kafir. uh, he gave his people real democracy. And our revolution, Ayub Khan's Muslim revolution, what did it do for us? I have told you repeatedly that he is our brother, but he even robbed us of the so called democracy the British gave us. And it was not only our democracy he took away from us. Look at our financial position, look at our language, look at our culture and our society. He has taken it all. The list is not complete. Look at our schools, our colleges, our education, our instruction of our children, and look at his manners. I'm always surprised at these people who keep on telling us we are making such progress. Pakistan has a target and we are fast approaching it. Actually, there are quite a few jokes in circulation about that. I will tell you one. It goes like this. A woman said to her husband, warmly embracing him, "Darling, I want a diamond ornament." A woman said to her husband, warmly embracing him, "Darling, I want a diamond nose ornament." The husband replied, "Actually, I was considering how I could cut off your nose altogether." All we are asking for is a nose ornament. It does not even have to be a diamond, but Pakistan is thinking how they can cut off our nose altogether. I also wanted to talk to you about Ayub Khan's book. In this book, he has written that he talks a lot about Afghanistan, and the Prime Minister of Afghanistan has already given him a reply. He says that a referendum was held in Pakhtunistan and that the Pakhtuns voted in the favor of Pakistan. This is altogether incorrect. I should say this is a flagrant lie. The whole world knows that the Pakhtuns did not take part in the referendum, and I cannot for the life of me understand what is the use of raking up that old history now and writing a book about it. I always say, let bygones be bygones. But if you are so obstinate, my dear brother, well, let us have another referendum and see what the Pakhtuns decide. My dear, somewhat selfish and greedy brother also proclaims, Pakistan is also a Muslim country, isn't it? What do you want? This is my reply. Who says Pakistan is not a Muslim country? I have never denied it, nor that the Pakistanis that are our brothers. Please try to understand that all we are saying is, yes, Pakistan is a Muslim country. Yes, Pakistan is Islamic. But Islam does not preach slavery. Islam preaches brotherhood and love. I have been drumming this into your ears for years. We are Pashtun Muslims and you are Muslims too. Islam means brotherhood, so why do you not treat us as brothers? But they want us to remain their slaves. My brothers, you may remember that when martial law had been declared in Pakistan, Mr. Shev, the Prime Minister of Russia, came on a visit. In one of his speeches, he talked about the Pakhtuns, which stirred up a lot of controversy in Pakistan. President Ayub Khan sent for me. When I saw him, I said, I hope you are all right. Why did you want to see me? Ayub Khan replied, Don't you know? I said, No, I don't. What is the matter? He said, Mr. Khrushchev has made a speech. I said, I know he did, so what? And what has it got to do with me? He said, You will have to refute that speech. I laughed and said, I will refute the speech if you give the Pakhtuns their rights. If you are not prepared to do that, why should I do anything about that speech? The Pakistan Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mansoor Kadir, also came to see me. He stayed and talked for 4 hours. First, about democracy, he said, because here in Pakistan, democracy did not work. We do not give people democracy anymore. I asked him, where was this democracy in the first place? You never had democracy. So, how do you know whether it works or not? In India, they have already had 3 or 4 elections. When did you last have elections in Pakistan? Have you ever asked the people what kind of government they want? I told Ayub Khan too. We are five brothers here in Pakistan: the Punjabis, the Sindhis, the Bengalis, the Balochis, and the Pakhtuns. Some of us have our own homes, and that is our right and proper. In the Punjab, the Punjabis are in authority. In Sindh, the Sindhis are in authorities. The Balochis are the master of their own homes, and so are the Bengalis. And so the Pakhtuns ought to be an authority in their home too. He replied, "Why do you call them separate homes?" I said, "What should I call them?" He said, "You can say that we all live in the same house." I said, "All right, we all live in the same house. All I want to know is this: are you going to give me a room of my own or not?" He said, "Certainly, I'll give you a room of your own." I said, "Fine, accepted. But will I be the master of my own room, or will you be?" I realize that we are partners. I know that we are brothers and that we all live in the same house. But I want to know who will be the master in my part of the house, you or I. Brothers, I want to tell you plainly and frankly what we want from Pakistan. Listen, if the Pakhtuns had not fought for this country and for this country's freedom, where would the Pakistan have been? Pakistan was created by the blood of Pakhtuns. It was a pity that the British were very annoyed with us when they finally left. They said there were 100 million Muslims and none of them rebelled against us except the Pakhtuns. Our country was ablaze when the British left. But who had set it on fire on their behalf? Our own brothers, for whom we had won Pakistan and whom we had freed from the British slavery. Is it not sad and ironical that those who liberated the country, who made great sacrifices, who made prisons their homes, who shed their blood for the sake of their brothers, should now be contemptuously called Hindus by those who used to pick the crumbs from the British tables and who made their country and their people the slaves of the foreign rulers? I repeat, that all we want is brotherhood. We are five brothers. Four have their own names, but we do not even have a name of our own. We want our own name. I told Liaquat Ali the same thing when he asked me about Pakhtunistan in parliament. I said four of our five brothers have their own names, but we don't. We can't call ourselves Punjabis, for we are not. No, we can't call ourselves Balochis or Sindhis or Bengalis. Give us a name of our own. But they cannot bear to think of us having a name, and they call themselves Muslims. We have never made a war against Pakistan either. We are against war. We do not like war. Brothers, I want to impress upon you that there is one man who does not want to make you his brother. He does not even want to call you by your real name, and you people are making propaganda for him. I want you and the Pakistani leaders to take a look at the misery which our Balochi brothers are living in. They have been asking and crying and shouting for their rights for the last 20 years. Nobody listened to them. They had no choice but to take up arms. You all know what happened to them, the tyranny they had to suffer, the cruelties that were committed. Now Pakistan has found out that the question cannot be solved by cruelty and oppression. And these poor people are told, come on, let us sit down together and settle our dispute. It did not take me long to find out that in the heart of Pakistan, there is no room for any Balochi or Sindhi or Bengali or Pakhtun. Therefore, I want my Balochi brothers to know that the Sindhis and the Pakhtuns are just as oppressed as they are, and that our aim and objects are the same. And I want to warn them not to be too credulous. They are now making efforts to settle us in homes of our own, but in such a way that it will only weaken us. They are trying to on they are trying it on the Balochis now. Pakistan's real design will become clear if you look at Punjab. The Punjab leaders met and discussed and consulted with their jirgas. They said, look at those Pakhtuns. They are all very rich. They have electricity. Then they said, Look at the Sindhis. They have so much land. About the Balochis, they said, they have in their country wealth of mineral resources and gases. Brothers, all this is trickery and they are only saying these things because they want it for themselves. The electricity of the Pathans, the land of the Sindhis, the minerals of the Balochis. Then they have this idea of one unit. Work it out for yourself. Is this in harmony with the Islamic belief? Does Islam tell you to rob your one brother of his electricity, another brother of his fertile land, and take possession of the mines and minerals of another? And you, ignorant, misguided Pathans, you do not even stop to think whether this is Islam or not. You just swallow anything you are told. I have asked Pakistan over and over again to settle our dispute in the spirit of brotherhood, an atmosphere of harmony, and to come to a peaceful decision. And if the matter cannot be settled peacefully, well, you all know that I believe in non-violence and I hate violence, and I shall always try to solve every question and settle every dispute peacefully. I am urging Pakistan to settle the question in the spirit of brotherhood and peace. I, for myself, only want a peaceful decision, but but I can feel that the Pakhtuns are changing their minds from day to day, and I hope and pray that they will not take up arms one day. Pakistan should realize that while at first this was only the men's affair, today our women are standing shoulder to shoulder with us, as fully prepared as the men. A girl here told me, if your men are not successful, Fakhre Afghan, we the girls will bring victory to your country. We need not mince our words. You, young men, have not been able to achieve your objective. So now our girls want to see if they can do it better. That is why I am telling Pakistan not to force the Pakhtun's hand. For like the Balochis, they might resort to their rifles. And that would change the whole character of the problem. And the responsibility would be entirely on Pakistan. Pakistan has also spread a rumor here and in Pakhtunistan that I am going to India. I can tell you now and that when the war between India and Pakistan started, this was the front page news in both Indian and Pakistani papers. I want to tell you that there is not a word of truth in this rumor. An official from the Pakistan embassy came to see me and said, Badshah Khan, we hear that you are going to India. I said, but I am here. I have not yet been to India or anywhere else for that matter. Not that anybody is stopping me. I just did not go. And I have no desire to go there now either. I am staying here waiting for you people to give me my rights. If you want me to go to India, it will be your own wish, not mine. If I go to India at all, it will be only because you are not giving me my rights. For the sake of Pakhtunistan, I will even go round with a beggar's bowl to every country in the world and ask for alms. You are telling me now not to go to India. Well, give me my rights. I am not demanding this from a stranger after all. How long have I how long will I have to kneel down at your feet and raise my eyes in supplication? You must try to recognize those who spread rumors like that for what they are. I assure you that they are no friend of yours. They are not your well-wishers. You will remember that last year too, I made a speech on this occasion and I came to know what was in your minds. You are my nation, my brothers, my own kith and kin, my dear ones. I told you that you could not see what I foresaw, that a flood was coming and the Pakhtuns might be swept away in it. A Muslim is standing by the edge of the water and I say, hey, my Muslim brother, please give me your hand. He says, no, I won't. A little further on, a Hindu is standing on the edge of the water. I say, hey, my Hindu brother, please give me your hand. He says, here you go. Do take my hand. I am asking you, shall I take the Hindu's hand or not? Brothers, I am asking you this question again because you are saying that the Muslims, you are your brothers. After all, and Ayub Khan is also your brother, a Pakhtuni one. Does he offer me his hand? And if he does not even offer me his hand, well, I'm telling you, I shall rise and go around the world and I shall put my hand in whatever hand is willing to help me, even if it is the hand of a scarlet infidel. and we are being swept away by the flood. And if no Muslim stretches out his hand to save us, should I not grasp the Hindu's hand? I also want to tell you this. If I have to wander around, poor, helpless, and distressed, it is only for your sake. I want you to promise me that you will never let anybody deceive you in the name of Islam. I repeat, I shall always first ask the Muslims to stretch out their hands and to save us. But if they refuse, I cannot just sit down and say, well, I have to go on. I have to take a step forward. I am telling you, I shall grasp anybody's hand in order to save you from the flood. And I am telling you this so that you will never again be cheated in the name of Islam.